Liliane Bettencourt, the French heiress to the L'Oréal Cosmetics fortune, and a family legacy of fascist associations, whose final years were vexed by allegations that she had fallen under the sway of a younger man and given him $1.4 billion, died on Wednesday at her home in the Paris suburb Neuilly-sur-Seine. She was 94. Her death was confirmed by Jean-Paul Agon, chairman and chief executive of the L'Oréal Group, on the company's website. L'affaire Bettencourt had captivated France since 2007, when a daughter's lawsuit charged that Mrs. Bettencourt, ranked as the richest woman in the world, had been bamboozled by a society photographer 25 years her junior for cash, annuities, fine art, and, it seemed, an island in the Seychelles. The complaint challenged her mother's competency and led to criminal charges against the man, who was portrayed as a gigolo. Accused of a bust of faiblesse, or exploiting the old woman's frailty, the photographer, François-Marie Banier, was bombarded at a trial in early 2015 by the testimony of maids, butlers, doctors and others who called him the dominating manipulator of an overmedicated, disoriented woman. They said he chose Mrs. Bettencourt's lipstick and clothing, monitored her appointments and once suggested that she adopt him. Deaf and afflicted with dementia, Mrs. Bettencourt did not attend the trial. But her daughter and court-appointed guardian, Françoise Bettencourt Myers, told the court in the southwestern city of Bordeaux the strategy of Mr. Banier was not just to divide and conquer. It was to break and conquer. To break our family. It was programmed destruction. Continue reading the main story-related coverage. Photographer gets prison sentence for swindling L'Oréal heiress. May 29, 2015. In case of L'Oréal heiress, a private world of wealth becomes public. Feb. 25, 2015. France is gripped by Bettencourt scandal. July 18, 2010. Generous to a fault. Aug. 21, 2009. Jean-Victor Myers, the new prince of L'Oréal. May 5, 2012. Recent comments. In May 2015, the court convicted Mr. Banier of abuse and money laundering and sentenced him to 3 years in prison, of which 6 months were suspended. He was also ordered to pay €158 million, or $173 million, in damages and a fine equivalent to about $418,000. The Butler was taping in 2010. The family soap opera also exploded into a government scandal after tape recordings secretly made by the Dowager's butler and accusations by a former family accountant suggested that Mrs. Bettencourt had kept $98 million in secret Swiss bank accounts, evaded taxes, given envelopes of cash to cabinet ministers, and made illegal campaign contributions to Nicolas Sarkozy shortly before his election to the French presidency in 2007. Mr. Sarkozy denied any improprieties, but he lost the presidency to the socialist François Hollande in 2012, and with it his official immunity from prosecution. He was placed under formal investigation, suspected of having taken advantage of Mrs. Bettencourt's mental frailty to obtain campaign funds. However, French magistrates dropped the inquiry in 2013. While she remained in the background most of her life, Mrs. Bettencourt had long tried to live down the stains of anti-Semitic activities in Nazi associations by her father and husband before and during World War II, a well-documented record of propaganda writings and material support for fascist groups, some of whose followers found refuge after the war at L'Oréal. Regal, extroverted, a tireless socialite who loved balls and dinner parties, jewels and haute couture, Mrs. Bettencourt was ranked by Forbes this year as the richest woman in the world, with her net worth put at $39.5 billion. She was the majority shareholder of L'Oréal, the world's largest, most powerful cosmetics company. She was the only child of Eugene Schuler, a chemist who, in the kitchen of his Paris apartment in 1907, created a hair dye he called L'Oréal. His business, renamed L'Oréal in 1939, acquired Lancôme, Maybelline, Helena Rubinstein, Giorgio Armani and other brands, creating a giant that employs more than 77,000 people in 130 countries, had revenues of almost $26 billion in 2016, and is a prestigious economic engine for France. In 1950, Liliane married André Bettencourt, the scion of an old Norman Roman Catholic family. He had been a virulently anti-Semitic propagandist early in the war, a role hidden most of his life behind the sanitizing record of his resistance exploits in the final stages of the war. For these, he was awarded the Croix de Guerre, made a Chevalier of the Legion of Honor, and promoted as a war hero in a political career that lofted him to prominence as a cabinet minister in several governments.